Ready to go and get into it?
Yeah, I'm ready.
You're listening to a Cult Talk Network podcast.
File access granted.
Welcome, all you believers, idealists, skeptics, and all those who question the universe around them. I'm Ty.
And I'm Bailey.
And this is Cult Talk Conspiracy, our first episode of 2024.
Woo!
Hope everyone had a fantastic New Year's, fun, safe holiday.
My head hurts.
Still, 9 days later.
My head hurts.
Wow.
It always hurts.
Oof.
It's fine.
Yeah, New Year's, fantastic holiday. I love New Year's.
Do you like New Year's more than Christmas?
No,
No.
not even comparable.
There's one thing I like about New Year's, and it's the kiss at midnight. Because it's romantic and it's cute, and then I get to go to bed right after. So it's got all the perfect things right there.
That's good, yeah. Yeah, no, I'm much more of a Christmas guy. But the holidays are past us. We're kicking off 2024 here. New year. I'm sure everyone's got the resolutions and all their ideals of what 2024 is going to bring them.
I don't make resolutions. I'm the same old asshole I was 18 days ago, guys.
9 days.
9 days. Well, I'm saying like even farther back in the past.
Oh, okay. I'm not a big resolution guy either. I don't really do resolutions.
I think it's good to have goals.
Oh, yeah.
Like being like, this year I'm gonna do something crazy. It's like, why make it a resolution? Why not like
absolutely.
make it a
Yeah,
goal?
that's why I always see them. That's why I always see them.
Goal is far more attainable.
Why are you waiting around?
Yeah. Do it.
But we do have some exciting news coming about Cult Talk Conspiracy here as we move into 2024 that we'll discuss here at the end of the episode. So if you guys stick around for that, just some cool new stuff we're going to be doing here with Cult Talk Conspiracy as we move into the new year.
It's very exciting.
And we think you guys will be very excited to hear, and hopefully you guys are like what the plans are we have for this year. It's going to be a little bit different than last year, so we're excited about it. But we'll still be just Bailey and I every other Tuesday.
Yep.
But with some added stuff with it. So, but stick around. Like I said, at the end of the episode, we'll discuss that a little more. But today we're talking, as fitting as we're moving into a new year, we're going to be talking about one of the most notorious New Year's. An event that I remember quite well. I would have been 9 years old when this was going on. I remember it very vividly.
I was 4.
You were 4?
I was 4.
Wow. We're going to be talking about Y2K.
Woo!
The Millennium Meltdown. There's a lot of stuff to unpack here.
There is. There's a lot that goes into this.
There's so much. I got oddly nostalgic for Y2K a couple years back. Same with crazy sounds. 9/11. I got oddly nostalgic about 9/11. Just that time period.
Yeah.
Like I remember last year or the year before, back in 2021, when all those 9/11 documentaries were coming out. I was just eating those up because it was such a time capsule of this time in my life.
Yeah.
Same with Y2K. I was like super into like all the documentaries and retrospectives on that because it's just this weird snapshot of this time in my life.
Dude, wait until the documentaries start coming out about like 2020.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Dude, those are going to be like war flashbacks for a lot of people. Like, I can't do it. No.
I had a pretty good time through 2020. I don't look back at it. I got in the best shape of my life.
Oh, so proud of you.
I was doing a lot of cool stuff through that. I was meeting new people. I was living my life. I was working from home. I got pretty good at taking my laptop to like the bars that were open. I'd go during the day and just day drink and work. I loved it. 2020 was not rough for me at all.
I'm so happy for you.
Yeah.
It was shit for me.
I thrived through 2020. I tell you all the time, I was thriving through that period.
Bro, God bless like every single person in my household during that time because I was off the fucking rails. I was like, it was like, if I'm not working, I'm not okay. Like I'm one of those people, I have to constantly be working, and I was in the retail industry, so like that was dunzo, and it was it was not a good time. Luckily, the day I got to go back to work, I was like, this is the best day ever. But anyway, we're past those times now.
Oh yeah, that's long behind us. It feels like a lot longer than it actually was, because it's only
Yeah.
3 years
3
ago.
years.
It's
Mhm.
crazy. It feels so much longer than that.
Yeah.
But Bailey, you ready to talk about Y2K? That is something
Yes.
was a long time ago. So, you ready to talk about Y2K?
Yes, I'm super excited.
All right, guys, join us as we unseal the first file of 2024, Y2K, the Millennium Meltdown. File 034. Here we are, 2024, and we're going to be talking about a notorious New Year's Y2K. Do you have any memory of Y2K, Bailey?
None. Zero.
None.
Zero.
Yes, you're way too young to probably have too many memories of it.
Yeah, no, I don't remember whatsoever. Yeah, I think the first time I actually remembered like celebrating a New Year's with my parents, I was like a 9 or 10. Like I was an
wow.
older kid. Yeah, I did not stay up late.
So, most people look forward to the holiday season, the magical fourth quarter of the year where we have Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmas all back to back to back. Sure, it can be hectic at times, but nonetheless, a joyous time of the year that caps off with a celebration of the end. One year moves into another, and everything begins anew. The new year is often seen as a fresh start, a chance to reset, set resolutions, achieve goals that maybe eluded you the year prior. Cultures all over the world have unique traditions and rituals that welcome in the beginning of the year. But one year in particular stands out to some as having a much different aura about it. As on December 31st, 1999, people around the world looked to the strike of midnight with uncertainty. The millennium loomed on the horizon. Many held their breath as the clock ticked on to Y2K. Do you know what Y2K means?
Year 2000.
Yep, that's it.
I did
That's
it. I
That's
did
it.
it.
That is it. That's all Y2K stands for. Is Y is year, 2K is 2000.
Yup.
It's that simple. I remember like around this time having like there was like T-shirts and stuff you could buy at like Walmarts and stuff at Y2K. I remember having like a Millennium T-shirt.
Nice.
Yeah, like I remember that being like a big thing. Everyone was getting super hyped for it, and just being merchandise for it. So,
Well, yeah, capitalize the shit on that.
oh,
Like-
absolutely. Beginning in the 1950s, many large companies and organizations adopted the use of mainframe computers to manage bulk data processing. These sometimes massive computer processors were used to store data such as corporate transactions, consumer statistics, censuses, all sorts of information. So from the 50s onward, these became standard for large corporations, but even world governments and organizations like NASA, all the large banking companies implored the use of these giant mainframe computers to store data. These could hold an unlimited amount of data by increasing the storage, but it wasn't cheap.
No.
The price for a kilobyte at the time was $100 per kilobyte. Do you know what a kilobyte is? Do you have any idea what the kilobyte means?
Oh, I've heard Michael talk about it before.
So to describe it, think of a kilobyte as a single Post-it note.
Okay.
It's just enough space to maybe jot down a quick memo, and that's all.
Mm-hmm.
So at one point during the use of the mainframe computers, that one Post-it note cost $100. So if you were storing, an entire census of an entire county or a city or a state or the country, you got to think about how much you're using.
Oh my god.
You're using so much information. You're talking about birth dates, employment records, births, housing, addresses, phone numbers, all this stuff. And every time you exceed, this figurative Post-it note, that's an extra $100.
Gee whiz.
So this made it important for programmers to find ways to save storage. And one of the simpler methods to do so was by taking the year, for example, 1975, and they would break that down to the last 2 digits, just 75. So you'd save 2 digits for every date you entered, and that added up significantly over time.
Huh.
Over time, you're saving quite a bit of space by doing that.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Just 2 digits.
Do you know how many college essays I did that with? Like, oh, let me turn this 250-page essay into 500 words real quick. Don't try to do that, kiddos. Don't do it.
This solution was perfectly fine, as computers had only been in use through the 20th century. You weren't going to mistake, say, 1975, we're using that. You weren't going to see 75 on a piece of data and confuse that with 1875 or 1775,
Right.
because all this data has only been stored within the span of the 20th century.
So it has a start date.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So we know that 1950s is when this stuff started to be implemented. There's no banking transactions or anything like that digital wise that exceeds 1950s when these were implemented.
Nice.
I'm sure people went back and maybe crunched in, past transactions, things like that, but they were still using the 2-digit integers. So even if they were like, oh, we need to update this transaction from 1945, you would still put in, 12, 17, 45.
Right.
And the computer would recognize those last 2 digits as a year. And it would know that's 1945 because it's only been in use since the 20th century.
Right. Okay, makes sense.
But not everyone was so sure of this solution. In 1984, Jerome and Marilyn Murray published the book Computers in Crisis. But it was not referred to as Y2K, but rather at this time, FADL, which stood for Faulty Data Logic. The book, however, went largely ignored, but would be republished in 1996 as The Year 2000 Computing Crisis, where it again went largely ignored, but only because it was just one of the dozens of books about the subject that were coming out this time. The long-running computer culture magazine Computer World, which is still in existence today.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's digital now, but yeah, it was a pretty popular computer or is a pretty popular computer magazine. They warned of the looming issue with the 2-digit data entry solution in 1993 with their article, Doomsday 2000, by Peter de Jager.
It's a Jaeger.
Article... Sorry. What's that?
It's a Jaeger. It's another German.
Yeah, Peter de Jager. This article would gain more traction than previous efforts to warn of the problem. In 1996, author Peter de Jager would even go before Congress and speak about the issue and warn about the problem that he saw coming. The New York Times compared de Jager to the digital age Paul Revere.
Oh, wow.
He was coming forth and warning everyone of this big threat that was on the horizon. De Jager warned that the effects of the looming problem would cost over $300 billion worldwide.
Oh.
But what is the issue with the 2-digit data entry solution? The Murrays, the Jaeger, and dozens of other computer engineers were actively warning against it from pretty much the 80s onward. People kind of saw this issue coming into play.
Okay. So
the problem was that at the strike of midnight, December 31st, 1990, all computers would transition from 99 to 00. The computers, however, would be unable to distinguish between the year 2000 and the year 1900.
Oh.
Which predated all computer data. This confusion would cause a total memory crash of all computer systems.
Oh, no.
Personal home computers that people would have spent hundreds and maybe thousands of dollars on at this time would become completely inoperable. Banks would fail, leaving billions of digital transactions to be lost. Navigation systems on airplanes would fail.
Oh, shit.
Satellites would totally crash and plummet to the earth. The electronic jail cell locks and prisons would just unlatch, allowing convicts to roam free. A total computer nightmare, effectively throwing the entire world back into the Dark Ages.
Would that be so bad, though?
I could see it being a big problem. For me, financially, definitely.
Would it be terrible? Would like a global reset be that bad?
You're preaching cult stuff now. That's doomsday cult stuff.
That's I don't know. I just kind of see. I'm one of those sadistic fuckers that like, but what if like we could live in a day over there?
That's like Georgia Guidestones stuff. You ever heard about the Georgia Guidestones?
No, I haven't heard of that. No,
we'll have to do that sometime.
Oh man,
that's definitely a conspiracy episode. By 1995, the problem began to be referred to as Y2K, and more people were becoming aware of it. Y2K, I remember when I was growing up, I remember not ever hearing about it until like 1999. It seems like it was something that was being warned about across the board since like it sounds like people really took it into consideration on 1998 or so, but it was being warned about since the 80s.
Huh.
I remember it like vividly, just like people kind of talking about it in my area, but no one like really doing much about it. But I remember being a constant point of conversation throughout like my late 1990s. Like,
yeah,
I remember it being a constant thing on the news. I remember there being television episodes. There was an episode of The King of the Hill, I remember, that focused on it. I remember the video store I went to, Blockbuster Video, and Video Alley. Big shout out to them. They're closed now, long gone, but you know.
So is Blockbuster?
Yeah, Blockbuster there too.
R.I.P. Blockbuster.
They would give you these little stickers on like the cases of the videos that was like a reminder, turn your computer off before the stroke of midnight 1999, because everyone thought that was going to be a way to save your computer. Like if your computer was on, it was going to explode or get crash.
No.
But as long as you turned it off, it would have a fresh reset the next morning. So
you got to turn it back on though.
Well, that was the idea. You turn it off before the stroke of midnight.
Oh, okay.
And then afterwards, you turn it on. It kind of fresh resets it.
Okay.
Then it's fine. Is what everyone thought. No one really knew what was going on. A boom of interest in survivalism began to grow. As the turn of the century approached, people feared there would be a total collapse of civilization.
Huh.
Y2K was going to lead to everything crumbling. The government, the whole social structure of the world is going to crumble because everyone's going to go into this like crazed panic at midnight when everything fails. It'll be total bedlam. In the ensuing panic, things like gold coins, wood-burning stoves, hand tools, canned foods, and of course guns became highly sought after, with people hoarding many of these items. I remember we had a wood stove, and that was like one of the best things to have at this time, because everyone thought everything's going to fail. There's going to be no electrical grid, so there's going to be no heat for the winter. This is January. This is dead of winter.
Oh shit! Oh yeah.
So millions of people would be without heat, water, food, things like that. I remember just feeling a little more secure because we had a wood stove. So, like, we have heat, we have a means to cook, we have a means to get clean water.
Yeah.
I remember feeling a little more comfortable about that.
That's fucking crazy, though.
Yeah, people were terrified because
nuts.
If your house only had an electric stove, you were fucked. You were not going to be able to heat yourself. You weren't going to have a water heater.
That's nuts. Because I remember growing up, my dad had like bug out bags and like emergency supplies and whatnot. And I thought he was fucking nuts back then. Because I was like, what is going to happen? And now that I am an adult, I'm like, you know what? That is an investment.
Oh, yeah. Bug out bags are something that I've like always dabbled with putting together.
You should.
Never went through.
You should.
I know last year when we had the whole like train incident in Ohio.
Oh yeah.
I remember Evan and I, when it happened, me and Evan went to like Kroger, and just bought like packs of bottled water. We
Oh,
bought
we
like
didn't.
we did. We went and we bought.
Well, you
cases
guys are
of
a lot
bottled
closer
water.
there than we were.
Oh yeah. We bought cases of bottled water. We bought like gallon jugs to feed Shy with.
Oh
Like
my gosh.
we prepared. So we were like, we didn't want to give any water to her that had it in it. We didn't want to drink any of it.
That's
I remember
nuts,
us grabbing we grabbed like some food and stuff because we live right here in the middle of the city in Columbus. So if something's to happen, we're pretty much stranded. Like there's no exiting the city in like a big crisis.
Nope.
Like you're not going to get on the road and just drive south.
No.
So if something was to happen, it's like, well, we have to be prepared to be able to, stay within our apartment. So,
gee whiz, that's scary because this is probably the most inner town. I don't like to call it a city because like it is a city. It's a very small city.
yeah.
But this is like the most in town I've ever lived. So like, yeah, I don't know. These are scary thoughts, Ty. I don't like these
absolutely.
thoughts.
Well, there's thoughts you gotta have. Yeah,
I don't like
things you gotta be prepared for. The scary stuff is stuff you gotta prepare for.
I know, but that doesn't mean I have to like it.
Yeah. The fear was fueled by an onslaught of books and television shows. I remember there being like a show that was on TV quite a bit. I remember seeing when I was a kid, and it had Leonard Nimoy on it, Spock, and it was like a Y2K, like how to prepare for Y2K documentary thing. Here's what to do if you lose power, and here's what to do if you lose heat. Like it's like a preparedness thing. I would be on TV quite a bit. There were a ton of books. I actually found a really good website called I think it was called the computercrisis.org. It's going to be linked below. And it actually is just a collection of all the books written about Y2K.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was pretty interesting website. There was a ton of just sensationalist titles. Things like Judgment Day 2000, Civilization Ambushed, Millennium Bomb, Y2K equals 666.
This is so fun. I mean, it's not funny, but Ben and I have been watching The Stand here as of recording.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
And like, oh my gosh, it's just all I'm thinking of.
Fantastic.
All I'm thinking of is the guy that's going down the city streets with the bell that's screaming, "Bring out your dead!" Because like that's what like feels like New York is happening in New York City at this time, and that's what's happening in my head.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff like that. Like I remember there being like quite a bit of literature you would just find like around this time of like pamphlets and things like that you would just see out in the wild. You'd be at Walmart or something, there'd be like people trying to hand you stuff, and it'd be like a pamphlet on repent before midnight on 1999.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that was a big thing too. 1999 999 flip it over 666. So people were like, oh, this is like a prophecy. This is the end times. And it was very scary. People start drawing that. As a kid, for me personally, it was a very scary time for me. NBC produced a made-for-TV movie called Countdown to Chaos.
Oh, God.
Which dramatized the events of the horrors following New Year's. It was very, very poorly received on all fronts.
I can imagine.
Being a very cheap, low-budget made-for-TV movie.
Uh-oh.
I would probably watched it and loved it. I love cheap made-for-TV movies.
We know.
Cheaper the better. I love them.
We know. Little possum.
And of course, it wouldn't be a terrifying, fear-mongering time without various religious groups helping out with hysteria.
Oh, gosh. Who did it?
The notorious televangelist Jerry Falwell claimed that Y2K was confirmation of the Christian prophecy of Christ's return. He urged his followers to begin stocking up on canned food and guns.
Oh, no, you can't do that, sir. Listen, I understand, but you are a public figure.
Yeah, with a lot of power. With televangelists, they have a lot of sway. Have you watched The Righteous Gemstones?
No.
Oh, it's my favorite show. Fucking love that show. But they each season's 9 episodes, and the 5th episode of every season is called Interlude. and it's like a past episode. They like take you back in the past. It's like, here's what happened before the current timeline. And Eli Gemstone, who's played by John Goodman, he and his wife are big televangelists. That's like the shows. He's televangelists. And they did a really good episode where he and his wife were part of the 9/11 scare, and they were selling these preparedness buckets to people, these buckets full of food and matches and things like that. And they were selling like astronomical prices, and they were going on TV and urging people midnight comes, it doesn't matter how much you have in your bank. It's going to be protecting your family. Spend all the money you have on these buckets. That's all it's going to be able to say. And there was stuff like that when I was growing up, like that. I mean, you had these big televangelists like Billy Graham and stuff who would be telling people that they need to buy this stuff. At the stroke of midnight, money is going to be useless. Why not give it to the church now so we can prepare? And, we can build somewhere for you to come be safe, or buy these preparedness kits. That was a real thing. Was these preparedness kits that churches were selling. So it'd be like a box or a bucket, and it would have rations and water and survival things basically, but it's all marked up because you're buying it at the church.
Yeah.
That was like a big thing growing up.
See, I mean, my thing is like, if it's not gonna, if the money in your bank account's not gonna matter in like 30 days, why does it matter now, church?
Well, you're asking too many questions. Sound awful sinful there.
Yep, sorry.
Using that woman brain.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Blasphemy, I suppose.
That's why this country's in the damn shape it is now.
It's because of women like me.
Yeah.
I'm the woman to blame.
Thinking.
Listen,
working, being independent.
That's okay.
Yep. Run that across Ben, see what he thinks before you start asking dumb questions. He asked permission.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
Now, as people prepared for the unknown, North American Christian ministries were reporting record profits. What a shock.
Of course.
They sold these doomsday preparation kits we talked about. Survival guides, that was a big thing they were selling. Even gas-powered generators that were special because they'd be blessed by pastors. So they would keep working.
You got Moses in the back room, do you? Yeah. Like...
And they would, of course, even sell branded merchandise.
Of course.
You got to have the merch.
That's the
if you're going to push an agenda, you got to have good merch.
Yeah.
You can find our merch on our link tree.
Tyler, no. Not now.
Yeah, if the churches can do it, I can do it.
That's not the example we take away. We have learned, Ty. We have learned.
Now, while all this scaremongering was going on, in a rare show of form, governments all over the world began taking steps to prepare for Y2K. In 1998, the year 2000 Information and Readiness Disclosure Act was passed by the U.S. government. A 3-part plan of action was put into place. Step 1, outreach and advocacy. Step 2, monitoring and assessment. And step 3, contingency and regulation.
Okay.
To coordinate efforts included a special Y2K council put together under President Bill Clinton. This consisted of the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, and a group within the Department of Justice called the Critical Infrastructure Protection Group. A special website was created to update Americans on how the government was preparing for Y2K and to answer any questions they might have, called y2k.gov. That site has obviously been long deactivated since this time, but it was a basically all-in-one resource for anyone who was trying to figure out what to do or what was going on with Y2K. They could go to this website and get all the information they needed. It's very accessible. Around this time, most people had computers or some form of access to the internet. The U.S. government also coordinated with the Russian government. And this is because, America, Russia, two of the biggest mega powers in the world, each holding a nuclear stock of some kind.
Oh yeah.
So the U.S. government made the point to step out the Russian government, and they created a basically order of operations to deal with if there was the possibility of false readings to nuclear warning attack systems.
Huh.
So they were concerned that maybe what could happen if this Y2K thing was real, it could cause some sort of confusion with a nuclear warning system, and then we fire a missile thinking Russia's attacking because you get a false reading, or vice versa. Russia, the system malfunctions and Russia fires a nuke.
That's a pretty legitimate concern when the computers are going to go haywire.
Oh yeah, and this is actually something that happened during the Cold War. During the Cold War, there's actually a very well-known scenario that took place where a Russian nuclear warning system malfunctioned and showed that a nuclear warhead was inbound.
Oh no!
And they were prepared to launch a nuke, and the only reason it didn't is because there was one general, I believe, who was so certain that it was fake.
Oh my!
He was the only person. It needed to be unanimous for them to fire, and he was the only one who was like, "I don't think this was real." Within seconds, nuclear war could have happened over a malfunction.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, it's really scary when you read about that. It's terrifying because it's a real event that happened.
I hope everyone bought him a steak dinner for the rest of his life.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, gee whiz.
Because you gotta imagine, if one nuke gets launched, they all get launched.
We're done.
That's what happens. Yeah.
Mm-mm.
So, and this was a very valid fear amongst most groups. A lot of fringe groups or survivalist groups were very concerned this was something that could happen. Malfunction, and it sets off a nuclear war. So it was very, very, very good on the U.S. government to be proactive and make means to step forward and kind of
be like,
hey, this could happen. It isn't going to be us. And they put forth a plan to determine and how to address it. So very rare form by the world governments to work in this kind of fashion.
I know, it's like kind of surprising. Like, oh my god, they're actually doing things. I remember what day it is and everything. My god.
Now, elsewhere in the world, similar programs were put into place to implement strategic plans of readiness. The International Y2K Cooperation Center, or the IW2KCC, was established, and the whole point of it was to establish funding and coordination on a global scale. The World Bank actually donated a bunch of funds so that smaller countries could have the means to prepare for Y2K. So it really felt like the whole world was in it together. They were like, "Oh, this is a problem that could affect the entire world if it is, real."
Mm-hmm.
Companies like Microsoft even developed software to mitigate any issues with the Y2K problem. Windows 2000.
Oh yeah.
However, even prior to this, Microsoft had very little worry that any major issues would come from the change to 00 at midnight. Microsoft, like from the get-go, was like, "This isn't a real thing. It's not a problem. It's not something that's going to affect anything in a major way." Like they were very outspoken, but they still like took the initiative to be like, here's some warm and fuzzies. Here's this new software.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Not to mention how much did they make off of that new software?
Oh, absolutely.
Like for real.
I remember that being a thing too, is you had like computers would have a Y2K compliance sticker they had to have.
Oh my gosh.
So they'd have to be like, we're compliant with Y2K. They'd have to like show that they had taken means to address any issues that came with the changeover. So you would see a little sticker that said Y2K compliant certified on computers and stuff.
I want one. And I want it on my laptop. All of it. We need to put one on Michael. Does Michael have a stamp somewhere that says
Probably
compliant with Y2K?
But nonetheless, the fear and uncertainty around Y2K far outweighed any rationality. So I mean, it seemed like the world government was making these steps to kind of qualm any major issues.
Mm-hmm.
But it was so easy to get caught up in the hysteria because you were getting bombarded constantly with these books and TV shows and news articles, interviews, and hell, even like if you went to church around that time, you would be
Oh my
getting
gosh.
sermons about this huge event that's going to happen, and everything's going to collapse. Government's going to collapse. Jesus is going to return. Computers are going to fail. Planes are going to fall from the sky. All this stuff. Like, it was very easy to get caught up in the negativity, and that's pretty much what happened. Was people mostly got caught up in the hysteria.
Yeah. I mean, when you've got a big question mark like that and nobody truly knows the answer of what's going to happen after midnight, I think it's going to bring a lot of people together, like we saw with the world government.
Yes.
And it's also going to show like a lot of people's true colors, whereas, still coming together, but also the crazier side of that, where it's, some people got to know.
Yeah. I remember, like, as New Year's got closer, people were like raiding grocery stores. Like, it was like a thing. Like, you would go into a grocery store and like the aisles would be bare because people wouldn't go and buy a couple cans of food here and there. People were like stocking up, like getting cases of canned food and cases of water and gallons upon gallons of fresh water and fuel and kerosene. Another thing too, people would were filling barrels with gasoline, and because no one knew, it's like, well, we'll have this stuff if it happens, if it doesn't happen, but like, people were just really going out and getting everything they could.
Oh my
And
gosh.
it did become kind of like this thing where even if you didn't necessarily buy into the Y2K thing, if you went to a store and all of a sudden everything's getting bought out, of course you're going to be like, well, maybe I need to get some of this as well.
Oh yeah.
Like, that happened during COVID a lot.
That happened to
even
me.
like the toilet paper thing, like when people were like stocking with toilet paper, like that was just something that someone fabricated. They were like, you got to have this stuff, and people would buy cases of toilet paper.
Oh my gosh, tons.
And then you're thinking, well, I will need toilet paper as well, so I had better buy a case.
I remember Ben and I walking through Kroger one day, and it was like still in the very, very early days of everything going on. And like the two of the aisles were just completely bare. And like that was just two of the aisles at that point. And I was just so shocked. And then I think like within that week, like I went and I just got like a ton of like freezer stuff that I could just be like, okay, it's good. I wasn't outrageous, don't get me wrong. But like, yeah, it definitely affected me. And like that was something that I never thought I'd see in my lifetime. Nothing I even fathomed. So to hear it on like steroids, like that would be insane to me.
I remember Mike and I, we were living together at the time. Mike was crashing in my guest room when COVID hit. And I remember like we went and got like some canned foods, but it wasn't like anything like crazy. I remember we were just like, hey, let's get like some like Campbell's soup to keep in the cupboard in case for whatever reason we can't leave the house. We have something to munch on. Like, we were never like, we didn't go and buy like, a carload of stuff or anything like that. Because I remember I would still like go to McDonald's, get nuggets and shit. Like, I wasn't too concerned about it. But water, I remember us getting a bunch of water and toilet paper. Luckily, I have a good friend of mine who worked at a toilet paper factory. And he was getting like, before COVID happened, they would just like send him home with like bales of toilet paper. They'd be like, oh, hey guys, like we exceeded our numbers for this shift. Here's a big pile of toilet paper. Take some home with you.
Was it good toilet paper?
Oh yeah, it was good stuff. And so he would go and like grab a couple rolls of toilet paper, or whatever, take home with him. And he had like basically a garage full of toilet paper because he was just constantly getting it from work. So it was like, hey, you need a couple rolls of there? Yeah, sure. So he'd bring over like, big thing of toilet paper. I didn't buy toilet paper the entire time.
Oh, you lucky duck.
Because he worked through that entire COVID, and that was like some of the best business for toilet paper companies because of this fake surplus that got implemented all over the United States. So
everyone was so scared.
Yeah.
How are we going to clean our ass?
So my buddy Connors was just like, here's some toilet paper and whatever, and I was set.
Oh, you know what, Connors, you is a real G.
Oh yeah,
Connors, you a real boy. You a real friend, dude.
On December 31st, 1990, while some people decided to optimistically ring in the new year as usual with alcohol and fireworks, others prepared for the worst. Churches opened their doors to fearful community members. Some law enforcement and first responders prepared for the impending unrest. Families flocked to their makeshift bunkers. Everyone waited with bated breath as hours turned to minutes, turned to seconds, and all the clocks struck midnight. And nothing happened.
What?
Life continued on as normal.
What?
Yep. Nothing happened. I remember this vividly. So I remember, I said 9 years old. This is a very unique time in my life. 9 years old. This 9/11 stuff is all over the place. Everyone's talking about the Millennium, Y2K. I remember my dad, like, we didn't get, like, he wasn't like super, or at least like, to my knowledge, he never like expressed that he was concerned that much about it. I remember the most we did was we had a big box that he had filled with water and like canned foods, and it was just like a big, like a box, like a a bigger than usual box, and that was just like in our guest room, and that's all I remember. Like that's all I remember us like having. I remember New Year's Day or New Year's night. Excuse me, New Year's night. Watching TV, watching the ball drop in Times Square. And I remember there being like this uncertainty because everyone was kind of like on edge a little bit. This thing had been hyped so much. Everyone had talked about it. There were a million different ideas of what could happen, what would happen. So I remember there being this uncertainty as midnight struck. And the relief of nothing happening.
Oh my gosh.
Like nothing happened. I remember it being such a relief. The next day, it was like a huge weight got lifted off everyone's shoulders.
Oh, wow.
Because this thing that people had been planning for all year, further back than that, this thing became really prevalent in 1997, 1995. And some people started preparing then. So to have midnight come and January 1st roll in and the day go on as normal was a huge relief. So across the world, the effects of Y2K were still felt, however.
Yeah.
In Hong Kong, police breathalyzers had to reset after midnight. In Australia, bus ticket machines in 2 states failed.
Oh, shit.
In Egypt, 3 dialysis machines briefly recycled power.
Oh, no!
The U.S. didn't go unscathed either. A video store in New York accidentally generated almost $100,000 in late fees.
Oh, shit.
The New Mexico Division of Motor Vehicles was temporarily unable to issue new driver's license.
Oh.
Other small and insignificant issues were reported globally, all of which were very quickly resolved. So it was an issue that did kind of annoy some people. Like it did cause an issue with some smaller devices where they would need to like be reset or have the power recycled on it to refresh the memory kind of thing. But it wasn't this thing that people thought were like the global banking system was going to crash.
Right.
Modes of transportation were just going to fail. Like it wasn't this big thing. In the aftermath, it was estimated a total of $300 billion were spent by world governments in preparation for Y2K.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Most large corporations experienced no issues due to requiring their software to be certified Y2K compliant. A lot of money spent, though. $300 billion.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a whole lot. Oh my gosh. But I mean, let's be honest, it wasn't going to be the last time the government wasted money. This time it was actually for a good reason. They were preparing. That was very good of them. Very happy about that. But oh my God. I'm just thinking about like the poor bastards that were like, I put all my savings away, or I put all my savings into all this stuff.
There was a lot of that. I remember reading. Oh my gosh. A lot of that of like people like Y2K is coming. I'm going to take all my money and spend all my money on a bunker, or I'm going to spend all my money on food and guns and generators and gasoline. And then it happens. And it's like, now what? There's a lot of people like that because the panic was so viral around this time.
It was real.
It was pre-viral, but it was everywhere. It was bookstores, video stores, TV, radio, church, newspapers, everywhere.
It sounds like you could not escape it.
You could not escape it. Oh my
gosh. Yeah, and I mean that's man. why is this not taught in schools as an example of public hysteria? Like,
Yeah,
this
maybe
is
it is. Maybe it is. I don't
insane.
know.
Like, this, oh my gosh, shit like this always freaks me out, especially when you get to the end and it's like nothing happened.
Mhm.
Everyone was fine. But I also get like a little paranoid thought in my brain that it's like, what if something did happen? And like,
Yeah.
we just never noticed. Like, there was a glitch in the matrix or
A
something.
lot of it, in my opinion, is people not understanding computers and getting way too scared of movies like The Terminator and things like that. Computers, sure, they have a lot of power,
Mhm.
but a computer is a computer.
Listen,
That's what I tell everyone. A computer is a computer.
listen, you got this AI bullshit out here now. That's
AI is not AI.
AI is scary. Okay.
People call it, it's a search engine, is what it is. It's a search engine.
But it like puts
AI
words
can only
together
do
for
what you ask. What happens when you type in Google?
That's
Hey
true.
Google, give me a newspaper article on Bigfoot, and it generates a list of articles on Bigfoot. You go in AI, you say, AI, what happened when Bigfoot was spotted in 1973 here, and it generates you a thing. It's a search engine. People call it AI, and it's not the correct terminology for it. It's an advanced search engine. But people have called it advanced intelligence or artificial intelligence. It's not artificial intelligence.
Interesting.
I deal with AI in my job. It only does what I give it the ability to do.
Yeah. Actually, I've never thought about it like that, to be honest with you.
It's exact.
So that's very interesting.
You have all these websites that offer AI tools. Storyblocks, which is a website that we use for stock video.
Mm-hmm.
You'll see it all of our stuff. Soundstripe, which is a sound effect and music library that we use for, you hear all the sound effects and music used in Cult Talk Net stuff is from there. And it offers an AI tool. The AI tool is a search bar that you can say, find me a song that sounds like so-and-so.
Mm-hmm.
And it generates a list based off of SEO data, which is you say to make a song, give me a song that sounds like Metallica, Enter the Sandman. It's going to go, okay, you want something that's rock, that's metal, that's aggressive, that's fast-paced. Here's songs that also share the same characteristics. It's a search engine. That's all it is. It's not AI. It's search engine.
I feel
if it was AI, it would say, give me a song that sounds like Metallica, Enter the Sandman, and it would produce me a song that sounds like Metallica, Enter the Sandman.
Yeah.
Yeah. I get very upset when people get about this AI thing because people don't understand. It's not going to take your job unless it's programmed to take your job.
Right. Yeah. Because even, I mean, you can trace it all the way back to robots. It's like you had to specifically build those robots in order to do that specific function.
You have to program it to be able to do whatever it's meant to do. It's not going to all of a sudden decide, I can build cars. Now I'm going to build a tank.
Mm-hmm.
You can't do that.
Do you think it has something to do with like us as humans wanting to assign like a personality and a soul to things?
Possibly.
Yeah.
I think the big hysteria with AI is people just call it AI. And
it just has
really
the
AI.
wrong name. Yeah.
Yeah, it has the wrong name. It's a search tool. It's an advanced search engine.
It makes a lot more sense you explaining it that way now. Like it's definitely
even if I go on and I ask it, because I use it for little things.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm like, if maybe I have a sentence or a paragraph I'm not sure of, I will say it. I will feed it the paragraph. I'll say, can you make this more clear? And what it's going to do is it's going to pull elements of that paragraph, compare it to elements it finds online, and it's going to make it clear. It's not going to produce something without me giving it the ability to produce it. I can't say, write me a love song that it elicits all this emotion. It's not going to do that. What it's going to, on its own at least, what it's going to do is it's going to scour the internet, find things that have done this, and then it's going to do it. It's a search engine. People just call it the wrong thing. It's not artificial intelligence.
It is a search engine.
It's an advanced search engine.
Advanced search engine. Ty has changed my entire life, guys.
It's
changed my whole fucking life.
It's no difference than Google. People are like, I'm not using AI, but I'll go on Google.
Yep.
Same thing.
Yeah. Yep.
It's finding information for you. You're asking it to find information. It's finding information for you. It just compiles it in a different way. It'll compile it in a means that you command it to file.
Very interesting.
So, back on track. I got a little tangent because I get so upset about that.
No, it was wonderful.
Yeah. Some people believe that Y2K was successfully stopped by global coordination and action put forth by various governments and organizations.
See what happens when we come together?
Yeah. In the lead up to the event, several small updates were implemented in various backbone computer systems to address the rollover bug. Many people think that these are things that prevented what could have happened. This action that the world governments took, and all these computer companies addressed the issue.
Mm-hmm.
Others, however, believe it to have been completely blown out of proportion to generate financial gain.
Ooh.
Various companies, organizations that claim to in some way protect or prepare against Y2K made millions by fear mongering. We talked about the church earlier. There was other things, survival companies, or people would claim we can build, or for this amount of money, we'll build you a bomb shelter that's Y2K proof, or, here's a gun that's completely, you don't have to maintain it. It's Y2K ready.
Y2K.
Well, the Y2K is coming and you're going to lose all power.
Mm-hmm.
Or you need this saw that's never going to dull. All this stuff. There's companies that were doing stuff like that. Like, here's this problem that's coming up. People are going to need a solution. Here's how we can market it.
Oh my gosh.
There was all kinds of stuff like that.
Is this how we got the copper tone nonstick pans?
It could be.
Is this how we got the copper tone pans?
It very well could be. There was companies that would sell like huge rations of water. I remember like there was companies that would sell like the gigantic barrels of water and shit you could order.
Oh my gosh.
As we talked about, books, TV, movies, things like that were just making money. If you had Y2K in the title, someone was going to buy it. Someone was going to watch it because everyone was thinking about it.
I mean, you just think about the things of it, like the stickers, the T-shirts, the merch. Like,
yeah, I remember having this Y2K. I don't remember how I came about it. I remember I had a Y2K T-shirt. I don't remember what it said exactly, but I remember having like a Y2K T-shirt.
Oh my gosh.
That I got from Walmart. I remember that. But I don't remember like what it had on it, but I remember just being a Y2K T-shirt.
The end is nigh, Y2K.
Yeah, that might be it. Books, videotapes, they flew off the shelves as people tried desperately understand and properly prepare for this looming crisis. These people balked at world governments for buying into the hysteria, with the U.S. spending an estimated $40 billion alone. So $40 billion of the $300 billion spent was from the U.S. by itself.
Oh gosh, why are we so expensive?
We're a big country. I mean, we have we probably rely on computers quite a bit more than anyone else. We have a pretty big banking system, transit. I mean, we're a hub of technology.
Oh my gosh.
So I could easily see us spending more than other countries.
Yeah. Just, I mean, even today, like thinking about like my own jobs, like I don't have a scrap of paper.
Oh yeah.
None.
Yeah.
Like.
So we spent $40 billion, but countries like Russia and South Korea, they spent very little, like maybe a couple mil to just make sure maybe their priority stuff was taken care of. And they were not affected any more than countries like us that spent billions of dollars. So there's that comparison. At the end of the day, you can look and see the proof as in the numbers that there was no more or less issues in these countries that just simply looked the other way.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So
did we survive a global catastrophe by humanity joining together as one race to plan and coordinate on a worldwide scale? Or did simply the entire planet become victim of a big fear-mongering scheme to make some money? That was Y2K.
I like the first one.
Yeah. You would like to hope. There are people that within the government and within various organizations who at the time worked on the Y2K preparedness who will say that this was a real thing. Like it was going to be much bigger than what it turned out to be. but that we were simply successful in stopping. So there is that. But other people just don't see the proof because of the way the rest of the world was affected. You would think that if this was such a huge issue, that us spending $40 billion, we would have significantly less problems than someone like South Korea who like barely cared.
But does it have to do with the population though? Like
Possibly.
like you were saying,
I mean,
like,
South
we have a
Korea
lot
is a
more
pretty
people.
big country.
Yeah,
so,
true. Yeah.
And you know, Asian countries are pretty well. They're way more advanced than we are as far as technology. So.
True. Yeah. I don't know. I like to think that it really is everyone just coming together and putting like a plan forward to prevent it. But also, like, I lived through 2012.
Yeah.
So I understand.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, there's another thing too. It's like, you know, it was complete hysteria through 2020. That's another thing to consider as well as how well that was handled.
Oh my god.
But Y2K is something that it's like just this memory I have of this really weird time in my life as a kid when it was just this big thing that you were kind of like you're unable to escape from. It was just everywhere. It was just big, and it was like never like it was always just something scary because it was like never put in a light other than like this is a very big thing that's going to happen. It's going to affect everyone in a lot of ways.
Did you ever ask your parents about it?
No, I remember like I said, I remember quite a bit of that New Year's. I remember like the feeling of it.
I remember because like I said, I went through 2012 when everyone thought in May of 2012 the world was going to end with the Mayan calendar.
That's when we should cover.
Oh man, that one's a freaking trip. I remember that entire day freaking vividly. It's also because that was my very first pageant like ever. So in some ways, yeah, some worlds did end. But I remember asking my dad about 2012 and he was just like, it ain't gonna happen. He's just so chill about it. It's just like, nah.
I remember that one, me not being I was older, you know. I was 22 at the time, 21 at the time. So I remember like being not as scared of it, like you know, because I was obviously older and probably able to make more of a decision on my own.
And you were a veteran of Y2K.
Yes. So I remember that one not being too concerned about. I remember all the stuff around that though.
Yeah, that one.
Everyone being scared of the Mayan calendar ending and all that stuff. So
I was legit terrified. I was like, oh yeah, it's fine. But inside I was paranoid as all fuck. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to die. It's all going to happen. It's all going to die. I need to repent. Like, oh man, Ty, that was riveting. I love that. I have so many things I need to go look up now.
It was really fun reliving that. Like I said, I put a link down the subject here if you want us to listen in the little file cabinet down below. It's a pretty good little project these people put together on this computercrisis.org.
I know.
Can't read the books, but it's just a collection of the books with the cover art and the back flap of them. So it's pretty interesting to go through, and they have it all organized between like conspiracy, religion, survival, cool. You know, hoax, all this stuff. So it's pretty interesting how they have it organized. That was a really cool page to find. So I made sure to link that below.
Awesome. That is freaking awesome. Yeah, oh man, that was cool. Ty, that was awesome job. And Doomsday World Magazine is also still going, right?
Oh, Computer World.
Computer World Magazine. I wrote Doomsday.
Doomsday Magazine. I don't even know if that going on. I have a whole magazine of it.
I'm sure it's out there somewhere.
Maybe.
Like, possibly. That's awesome.
Yeah, check out Computer World. I think you can find the article pretty easily on their website too of Doomsday 2000 by Peter De Jager. But we talked about at the beginning of the episode, Bailey. We talked about we have a little news about Cult Talk Conspiracy.
We do.
And coming here in 2024, we've decided we're going to kind of slip. We're going to provide more. We want to obviously we talk about conspiracies in the name, but we want to expand. We want to talk about more subjects. We want to talk about some other high strangeness, some other eerie happenings, some cryptids, some paranormal stuff, some dark sides of the world that maybe don't inherently align with conspiracy. So Billy and I have decided to implement Cult Talk Conspiracy Unknown Files, which will take place, the same as every regular episode of Cult Talk Conspiracy will happen. But maybe one week you tune in and it's Cult Talk Conspiracy. Maybe the next episode you tune in, and it's Cult Talk Conspiracy Unknown Files, and we're talking about cryptids, we're talking about true crime, or we're talking about paranormal stuff. That's what we wanted to do this year. We want to be able to expand on what we can discuss, kind of loosen the reins on what we're able to bring up here and the topics we're able to explore. So that's what we're doing here in 2024. 2024. We're giving you more. We're talking about more stuff.
That's a tagline.
The unknown files are coming.
I love it.
And we'll probably have the first one here in the next couple episodes, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's so much, not only with conspiracy, but there's also that stuff that's kind of in that gray area. That's like, yeah, it could be a conspiracy, but also like people know the answer to it. So it's just kind of one of those things that never felt right putting it in Cult Talks Conspiracies. So that's when
we had a couple incidents like that last year, and we would like have an idea for an episode, we discuss it, and then it's like, well, that's not really a conspiracy, so we'd have to ditch it. So
yeah, but
we
now,
want to be able to remove that from the equation, to be able to talk about any weird, unknown, unexplained thing we want.
Oh yes, it's exciting. I'm so excited. I've got a whole list. I've got so many lists. They're all amazing. I'm so excited. But it's gonna be a rad time. It's gonna be freaking awesome.
Yeah, we'll let you guys know when we get the first one planned. Hopefully here in the next couple episodes we'll be able to debut this concept, let you guys hear what we have in store for it, and you guys let us know what you think. And of course, always give us your critiques or any suggestions, things you want to hear in the future. Bailey, up next, we got file 035 here in a couple weeks. And that's you. What do you got?
We are going to be going to Russia.
Ooh.
Because we're going to be covering the Dyatlov Pass incident.
Ooh,
I'm so excited.
I actually am watching a documentary series right now on HBO that has to do with that. So
fabulous.
I might have some stuff to bring to the table.
I have been so obsessed with this since I first heard about it. So we'll talk about it more in the episode on when I first heard about it and all that good stuff. But that
one might end up being a beefy one.
It's going to be a beefy boy.
Listen. Yeah, that might be a beefy one because I might have some input on that one as well.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited.
And that's coming up here the week after next, file 035, our second episode back for 2024. And we're going to keep on rolling. We thank you guys for joining us for another year of Cult Talk Conspiracy. We're coming off the holiday season. We're refreshed. We're ready. Ready for some more, as we always do here, questioning everything. Make sure you guys follow us on all of our social media at Cult Talk Net. That's Instagram, Twitter, Facebook.
Yes.
I think X, right? X.
Yes.
All the things. Instagram, that's the main hub. YouTube.com/Cult Talk Net. You can find Bailey and I here with Cult Talk Conspiracy every other Tuesday. You can find Cult of Campbell or Bruce Campbell podcast on Mondays. You can find Cult of Lore every first and third Thursday of the month. And make sure you guys check out YouTube.com/Cult Talk Net for a really cool visual element for those episodes because they work really hard on them. And you never know. We got some big things in store for 2024. I don't want to hype it up too much, but we have some very big things coming this year, and we cannot wait for you guys to see them. And make sure you check out our social media. Keep up on all this stuff because it's a lot. All right. Well, I've been Ty.
And I've been Bailey.
Until next time, question everything.